Welcome to the Tony Gaskin Show, best-selling author, celebrity life coach, and international speaker. The purpose of this show is to bring you motivation, inspiration, and education in the areas of life, love, and business. Thank you for joining me. Now let's get started. Hey, thank you so much for joining me. You know, I'm only going to share 3 tips with you from my, 10 rules to making it a great year. So I should say 10 rules, but you know me, I'm going to call it a million different things. And I want to share with you the second rule to make it a great year as we are, looking to make 2018 the best year yet. And number 2 is to check your circle. Now, if you missed the last one, go back and listen. And remember, this is exclusive for my Year of Change group. So can't share all 10. But number 2 is to check your circle. Now, this is so very important because a lot of times we are just living life and we're not mindful of who we're talking to. We're talking to people and we're allowing them to enter our space, our mental space, emotional space, and some people physical space. We're allowing them to enter our space and we're not checking their spirit. We're not checking them at the door. When you get ready to take flight, you first have to go through TSA security check, and they are checking for things that are not allowed to take flight. So you can't take anything over 3.4 ounces liquid onto that plane. You can't take any baggage or anything that is excessive, too large, too much, the wrong type of substances, the wrong type of things. You get checked. And anything that's going to hurt you or hurt someone else. Because some people will take flight with you and they want to self-destruct on the way. They want to blow up the situation on the way. They want to blow you up. They want to blow them up. And it may be their attitude that blows up. It may be their habits that blow up. So just like getting ready to take a flight, you got to check people. You got to send them through that scan. You may have to do a spiritual pat down to make sure that they aren't packing the wrong types of attitudes and habits and ways about them that will derail you from your destiny. And a lot of times we allow it because maybe it's someone you grew up with, someone you've known for a long time. They might not be blood related, but they're a best friend, you would call it. But deep down, when you really pay attention to it, they're kind of toxic. Kind of draining, maybe asking for money too much, asking for favors too much, and they're taking, but not really reciprocating, not really giving equal or greater, but really draining you, really taking from you. They take your kindness for weakness and they abuse it. And then eventually, guess what? Your kindness becomes weakness because once you recognize it, if you don't stop it, then your kindness has become weakness or your kindness has become ignorance, one or both. And they see that, they sense that, and now they become just like this leech. Because you are reinforcing this weak behavior from them, it becomes second nature for them. And they say, you know what? Okay, well, if I can do it, I'm going to do it. So you can actually turn a good person, like an overall good person, into a bad person just by reinforcing the negative things they do or say. So I want you to think about this, and that may be a friend. But then you also have family. You have your siblings or your mother, your father, your cousin, brother, sister. You have the family that sometimes you allow into your space and you don't check them. You don't check their spirit. So a lot of times we feel like because we're blood, then we can put up with anything. We can deal with anything because we're blood. And see, sometimes family will feel that because you are related, they can beg money of you all the time. They can steal your time. You got to be babysitting. You got to be running errands. You got to be doing this, doing that. And so because you're your family, they feel that they can run over you. They feel that you belong to them. You got to check your circle, and family is included. And sometimes what you may have to do with blood relatives is you may have to cut them off for a period of time. You don't really want to cut them off forever, but you may have to pull back, ignore some text messages, ignore some phone calls, let them know, hey, I'm going to be unavailable because I'm pulling back. I'm going into a shell for myself to protect myself and spend some time with myself, fall in love with myself, get to know myself better. And they're going to be like, oh, so we can't talk on the phone, so I can't call you, so I can't text you because you're getting to know yourself. That's not healthy. I heard this speaker say, isolation is a bad thing. And truthfully, you aren't really isolating. You're just cutting them off. And you might not want to tell them, no, I'm cutting you off. I'm not cutting everyone off. I'm cutting you off. And so if you don't want to say that, just let them give you all the rebuttals in the world. But then you need to pull back. Pull back and create some space for yourself so you can gather yourself and really evaluate, okay, what are they bringing to my life? What are they taking from my life? In some cases, it may be your spouse, so with your spouse, they're in your circle. They're in your physical circle. You're laying down with them, so it's physical, it's intimate. So it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's everything, physical, spiritual, emotional. And so this is very serious. If it's your spouse in your circle and they are toxic, they are a dream killer. They are abusive emotionally, physically, verbally, in any way. You have to check your circle. And you got to ask yourself, is this person healthy for me in this stage of my life? Now, of course, you want to make it work. So what this means is this is the one person, and or a dependent, like a child that you are taking care of who is under the age of 18. But this is the one person that you owe an explanation to. This is the one person that you owe a conversation to. This is the one person you really have to sit down and get some straightening. You have to express yourself and what you need and what you want out of life and hear from them what they need and what they want out of life. It has to be a two-way street. It can't just be a one-way street going your way. So it has to work for them too. So not only are you asking them what you need, but you ask them what they need from you. And this is someone that you have to make it work with. You have to come to terms. Now, if they are just unruly and they refuse to grow, they refuse to change, they refuse to meet you in the middle, they refuse to help you come up with a healthy compromise for the relationship, now that's a whole nother problem in itself. And you will know if it's time to leave. Your spirit is telling you, your intuition is letting you know. And if it's time to leave and you've tried and you've tried and you've tried and they're still not coming around, they're still not changing, then you have to say, you know what? I got to pull back. I got to pull back. And if you've already pulled back for a week, for a month, for 3 months, for 6 months, and it still hasn't worked, then that means you may have to let go and not look back at all. If you haven't taken a 2-day, a 1 week, a 2 week, hiatus, a break to where you're not living together, but yet you're praying every day and you're talking to see, is this going to work? Then you may need to do that. But everyone must get checked in your circle. No one can just skip the detector test. Everyone has to go through TSA to take flight with you, and no one is exempt. So whether they brought you into the world, whether they married you and agreed to love you until death does you part, or whether you brought them into the world, or whether they were brought into the world by the same people who brought you into the world, no one is exempt. Because just because we are family, or we are married does not mean you have the right to drive me to an early grave. In marriage, it says until death does us part, not until you kill me. So no one has the right to stress you to death unless it is your dependent, your child. And even with them, guess what? You have to get some straightening. And they may stress you, in a roundabout way. It's not intentional, inadvertently, but you still have to get some straightening, whatever that may mean for you. Me, I spare not the rod. So if I need to get some straightening, the rod is straight. Spare the rod, spoil the child.
We all want to smell great, right? Well, Perfume.com is doing something special for all you listeners. Visit Perfume.com and get up to 80% off brand name perfumes like Burberry, Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana, and many more. These are 100% authentic fragrances with free shipping and returns, plus an additional 25% off when you use the code TONY25. That's TONY25. Visit Perfume.com today.
So we will talk to Dr. Belt or Dr. Paddle. Now, everybody is not like that because of, the government and the way the world is now. They want your kids to beat you up and curse you out. And then you still pay their bills. Not in my house. In my house, we will serve the Lord. And that comes from the Bible. So everyone can get it. And what that means is you have to be willing to look at every person in your life and check them. You got to read their spirit and check your circle and make sure that the people you are riding with have gas money. Make sure the people you are eating with bring something to the table. There are no free lunches. You will pay now or you will pay later. So understand that everyone has to be bringing something. Every single person in your life needs to be an asset and not a liability, because you are building something. You're building your life. You're changing your life, and you have to be able to protect yourself, to love yourself. So I want to remind you, and an action step for this is to get a sheet of paper and to write down the names of every person in your life. Every person you talk to and interact with on a daily or a weekly basis, write down their name. And then write down the feeling that they make you feel in this interaction. What is it? Is it inspired? Is it motivated? Is it happy? Or is it stressed, worried, anxiety? Are you anxious? What do they make you feel? Then determine, are they an asset or are they a liability? So if it's a person in your life who every time you talk to them, you get anxious because you know that in the next few minutes, the next few texts, they're going to have an ask. They have an ask, but they really don't give. They have a lot of ask of you, but they're not really giving back to you. And you don't know what that is going to be, what they're going to ask of you. And it may be, hey, can you loan me some money? Hey, can I move in with you? Can I use your spare bedroom? Hey, can I borrow your car? Hey, can I borrow this shirt? Hey, can I borrow these shoes? Hey, can you watch my kids? Hey, can you do this for me? Do that for me? And so you're talking to them because maybe it's your blood relative and or your close friend, but you have anxiety because you have to figure out how to say no, because they are about to ask you for something that will inconvenience you, that's very unfair to you, and that if the shoe was on the other foot, they would not be doing that for you, offering it to you, giving it to you, or doing it for you. And so you're getting anxiety every time you talk to them, and they may talk to you every day. They may write you every day to warm you up for an ask. And so you have to think about this. You know what? Do I need to create some distance from this person? Do I need to create some separation because they're asking me for too much and I just don't know how to say no? I'm tired of saying no. It's draining me. So what should I do? So think about this. Now, if it's someone who they make you laugh, laughter is a good thing, but it depends on what you're laughing about. So you also have to evaluate, is this person a good influence in my life? If you are married, are your friends pushing you closer to faithfulness or infidelity? If all they have are a bunch of nasty, dirty jokes, then just because you're laughing doesn't mean it's healthy, doesn't mean it's a healthy relationship. So you have to ask yourself about that. They may make you feel good, but is it a good? So you could be married and have a friend of the opposite sex who you say it's a platonic relationship, but when you talk to them, it makes you feel good. And it makes you feel good, but almost like in this butterfly way, almost in this flirtatious, lovey-dovey type way. And your spirit does not need to be feeling that for another person other than your spouse, because now when you feel that for this person, when you go back to your spouse, you almost resent your spouse. You almost despise your spouse. Everything they say or do gets on your nerves because you're really all lovey-dovey with this other person that you're building with under the disguise of it being a platonic relationship. So you have to evaluate everyone in your circle from different angles. Now, some people you can't get away from, you can't get around. You have to see your boss every day if you go to work and you have worked that type of job. You may have to see your spouse every day. You may have to see your child every day. So some people you can't get away from, so you have to learn how to manage that situation, how to still be sane and create some space for yourself to where you can, gather yourself and keep your wits about you without allowing them to make you lose yourself, but you can't get away from them because of the situation. So it takes some time, it takes some thought, it takes some planning. So sit down and go through and write out all the names, then write out what they bring to your life, and then identify if that is a healthy feeling for you, and then identify if they are an asset or a liability. An asset, it benefits you, it adds to you. A liability could end up costing you greatly. So you have to figure that out. And when you do that, when you figure that out, the next thing you need to do is to decide if you are going to promote them, demote them, or terminate them. And when I say terminate, I don't mean like the Terminator. Not talking about an episode of Snapped. Not talking about eliminating them from the earth. I mean cutting them out of your life. So to promote them, it may be a person who they motivate you. They motivate you and they push you to greatness. They inspire you, but you only talk to them once a week or once every 2 weeks. They may need to be promoted to have more frequent communication because of what they bring to your life. It may be someone who stresses you. And when you talk to them, you get a little stressed. Guess what? You talk to them every day. You may need to cut them down to 3 times a week. They're still stressing you 1 time a week. Still stressing you once every 2 weeks, once a month. So eventually they either get the picture and learn their lesson and stop bringing stress to your life, or they end up terminated from your life. So think about this and identify who needs to be promoted, who needs to be demoted, and who needs to be completely removed from your life. So rule number 2, check your circle. Now remember, it's 10 of these rules. I'm only sharing 3 on the podcast. The rest are reserved for the Year of Change group, which is a small group that I work with for the first 10 weeks of the year. And then after that, we will be in a private Facebook group, pushing one another, challenging one another. Want to do a weight loss challenge with a cash prize, a goal setting challenge, just dreaming, planning, visioning things, bouncing ideas off of one another, building one another, supporting one another. Somebody launches their book, everybody in the group buys their book or tweets about it or posts about it on Facebook or Instagram. Really just a group of like-minded people pushing and challenging one another to be better. So if you want to join me in this amazing experience, just visit TonyGaskinsAcademy.com, TonyGaskinsAcademy.com, and you can sign up there. It's not an online course, so you won't see anything on that system. That's just where you sign up at. And then I'll send you an email personally to welcome you, and we will get going. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk soon.